Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar Wednesday. I'm glad to see everybody here today. We have a good topic to talk about, and I'm excited. We have Andrea Artenson from our office to talk about 4-H Club finances. I'm really excited about that today. Hope y'all are having a good Wednesday. It's a little warmer here in Fargo. I'm enjoying it. Staying daylight a little longer too. That probably means that spring's coming. I hope so. So Little Eyes coming up this weekend here. So that's what's been going on around campus. And Giving Hearts Day is tomorrow too. So don't forget about that, everybody. And also for other upcoming webinar Wednesdays, Margot is going to be scheduling some for March on different STEM activities and the engineering design. So look forward to that coming out for March webinar Wednesdays. So it's 11 o'clock now. So I'm going to turn it over to Andrea and she'll talk to us about the 4-H Club finances. Thanks for joining us, Andrea.
Thank you. Happy to be here. All right. Well, as Megan said, my name is Andrea Arnson. I've had the chance to talk with a few of you in person, the rest of you via email, which I send a lot of, and I apologize for that. I am one half of the front desk administration staff at the 4-H Youth Development Program, and I work along Jamie Steffes, who I'm sure you all know very well. I also provide admin support for Adam Marks in the Agriculture and Family Education Department and Angie Johnson with the Farm and Ranch Safety Department, and also helping out with the 4-H Foundation right now in the interim while we work through the ins and outs of that. So I've been working with Carla pretty close too and having a fun time with that. Just a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in North Dakota with most of my immediate family on my dad's side hailing from Valley City, where I grew up with my parents, two siblings, and we on my dad's family farmstead raising sheep. I now live in Barnesville, Minnesota with my husband, and they're on their family farm with our two daughters and a few too many cats, a handful of chickens, and then three dogs, three sheep, and three Highland cows. Unintentionally, we did not do the threes on purpose. My husband and I both have 4-H backgrounds, and my daughters were part of the Humboldt 4-H club in Barnesville for quite some time before their attention started turning more towards theater, sports, and spending time with their friends. They're kind of aging out of it, unfortunately. Um, I'm in the very beginning of my second year working with the 4-H Youth Development Program, and it's been an incredible experience so far, allowing me to meet so many people across the state of North Dakota. It's also provided me with a learning experience in club finances, record keeping, and taxes, which I have been doing right alongside most of you wonderful people. I want to start by saying that this presentation is really just our starting point. My hope is that this becomes a springboard into deeper conversation, shared understanding, and more confidence for all of us as we navigate through these topics going forward because they're tricky. And to be honest, club finances, record keeping, and taxes are not something any of us wake up excited about. We're not like, oh, good, this again. Full disclosure, when I was a 4-Her myself, I struggled hard with record books, and I'll admit I had to Google how to do them more than once when I started enrolling my kids in 4-H because I didn't want to do the administrative side of it. I wanted the fun side, the animal showing, the project side of it, not the taxes and the documentation side. But at the heart of what we do, we want to work with kids. We want to instill values, build skills, and help young people succeed all through our program and your incredible support as volunteers and agents. So my goal today is to give you that starting point, along with the resources and foundational knowledge so you can continue doing that work confidently and safely on all levels. Because when you strip it down, keeping records, that filing taxes, staying on top of finances is really about compliance, but more importantly, it's about protection. Protection for our 4-Hers, our club leaders, our volunteers, and our staff. So what we're going to cover today during this webinar is I'm going to explain the why of all of this matters, talk about where our starting point is, clarify the roles of the IRS and the Secretary of State in club management, and then also share resources to help you guys navigate taxes and reporting. So we'll wrap up by talking about the 4-H Google Drive, where you'll find all of these resources, and we'll go over some of those questions that were emailed to me ahead of time as well. While most of today will focus on the why, I also want you to know that we're actively working on a step-by-step training for agents and club leaders. We're excited to do that with the amazing assistance of Brianna Kaiser in Dickey County, and more information on those opportunities will be coming soon. So first things first, why does all of this matter? All of this boils down to ensuring that we're protecting our people. Yes, it's about the legal compliance, accountability, and transparency, but more importantly, it's making sure that we're protecting our club leaders, our county agents, and our 4-H members and families. So keeping those accurate records, which include the club charters, MOUs, constitution and bylaws, determination letters showing your 501c3 tax exempt status, and any documentation provided by the IRS or Secretary of State, is how we do that. It also starts with understanding 4-H as a public organization. So 4-H is a public organization, which means it's government funded and operated through land grant universities and cooperative extension, often using public funds and public resources. When our clubs, councils, and state 4-H offices are aligned and compliant, we demonstrate good stewardship of the trust that the public places in us. Being in a public organization doesn't mean we don't trust clubs. It means that the public trusts us. That's why certain records and filings are required and why we always strive to make the better best. So where do we start? Start with an EIN number. That's your employer identification number. This is your organization's business identifier, which is issued by the IRS. And without it, it becomes very difficult for you to operate as a 4-H club or a council because an EIN is required to open your bank accounts, to file with the IRS, and also to register with the Secretary of State. So that is our starting point. We're moving forward with strong recommendations that clubs roll up under their county 4-H council. We do understand that it's a gradual process, and especially since many clubs are already having their EINs established with the IRS. But there are some benefits to using the council's EIN, which would include ensuring no volunteer is personally responsible for finances or tax reporting, simplifies filing and reducing administrative overhead, providing stability when leadership changes occur, and eliminating duplicate fees. One example of how beneficial it is when it comes to filing like your Form 1023 with the IRS, that's your tax exempt status. The cost for that is $275. So if a council has already established a 501c3, clubs operating under the EIN of the council do not need to file their own 1023. And Leanne and Brianna can pipe in if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I've got that part right. So imagine a county with like 15 clubs, which we have plenty of. And all of those clubs that have their own EIN numbers would have to refile their 1023s to get their tax exempt status if they do not currently have that. It's 15 clubs paying $275. So it adds up. So then we're going to talk about the IRS versus the Secretary of State and who does what. Yes, your EIN is your starting point, but the IRS is also where you're going to file your tax exempt status. That's your 1023 or 1023 EZ application. And it's where you would file your 990 series and also like copy A with that. Your 990 series. Sorry, the copy A should not be in there. With the Secretary of State is where clubs and councils would register their club and council with the state. You're going to submit your annual reports there, which oftentimes include that financial statement that's due to the 4-H office on September 15th. It's where you would register your trade names and where you would maintain that good standing at the state level. So when you put it all together, it looks a little something like this. You got your starting point right here, obtaining your EIN with the IRS when starting a new club or council. Then you file your PB 430 with the state office to be chartered. That's your charter application. And this honestly can be done at any time. While you're doing all of this with the IRS and the Secretary of State, you can also work with the state office to do this kind of in the background at the same time. So there's no set way to work with the state office on how you should get a charter or anything. You just do it alongside all of this. Then you would file your 1023 EZ with the IRS to obtain that approval of your 501c3 status, that's your tax exempt status. And once you get that determination letter, which it takes a while, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks. So if you're trying to get your determination letter right now to get a tax exempt status and you are trying to file your 990s at the same time, they might get rejected because they haven't processed that 501c3 status yet, or they haven't gotten through it. So then once your determination letter is received, you go to the Secretary of State and you can file there to register your organization. So you're going to file as either the nonprofit corporation or the unincorporated association. And Leanne and Brianna are working with the Secretary of State to get a better clarification on what that needs to look like for clubs and councils. So stay tuned and we can get some details on that to kind of help you guys out better. And now this is just roughly how it look if you're going through this step by step when it comes to obtaining all of this. And there are no deadlines on any of these. There's no like you have to have it done by this certain time. When you see the deadlines come into play is when taxes and annual reports are due.
Hey, Andrea, I see a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Margot asks, if we aren't in good standing with the Secretary of State, do they need to start over?
I don't think you have to start over, but you do have to refile your Brianna?
Yep.
She just, yes.
So it depends on how you filed, and you can always do your annual report, but depending on how it is, you might have to just re-register. So it's not a complete start over. And I can visit with you. I'm happy to visit with you afterwards to see kind of how you're set up in Secretary of State and how to fix that. So you are in good standing.
Danielle, who advised you that you were not able to go under the county's EIN out of curiosity?
That was at our fall meeting last year.
Okay. Was it a decision made by your council? Like voted on by your council?
That I am not sure. And we've
Okay.
had leadership change in that office, and so there's just, I think, a lot of confusion.
Okay. Let me visit with you later about that because there isn't a can't, like it's not something you can't do, but I think like you have to vote on it. Your council has to vote on it, and you guys have to decide as a whole if that's the direction you want to move.
Okay.
Yeah. Cass County would be a big one. You guys have a lot of clubs. All right, so your key dates, your IRS dates, your Form 1099 miscellaneous are due to recipients February 2nd of 2026. This is going to change every year, kind of depending on how the end of January falls. But these are, if you have like premium sales or ribbon sales that need to go out to your 4-Hers. Right now, it's at a $600 threshold. So if anyone made $600, any of your club members made $600, or you paid them $600 for premiums or ribbon sales, you need to send them that 1099. The 990 series is due by the 15th day of the 5th month after the close of the organization's fiscal year. So that would be roughly January 15th, if I did my math right. And that's your taxes with the IRS. Making sure I'm not missing any questions here. Okay. And the series covers like the 990N, which is 50,000 or less normally. 990EZ is your 50,000 to 200,000, and your 990 is over 200,000. The IRS filing of the 1099 miscellaneous on the provider's end, that is due March 1st, 2026, if you're filing the paper form. If you're filing electronically, it's due March 31st of 2026. For the Secretary of State, your annual reports to stay in good standing with the state, those are due February 1st for nonprofit corporations and September 1st for unincorporated nonprofit associations. Those are the two that we're trying to get cleared up, and we'll get back to you guys on who should register as what. And then the 4-H state office dates, your annual financial statements are due to us September 15th yearly. So all of this
And
information, oh no, go ahead.
can I ask you a question about
Yeah, of
the
course.
financial statement that the state wants is just that like that form that you guys send out with here's your income blah 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 for the year.
Yes. Yep. That can be
So
found in the
could
Google Drive.
I don't know, maybe this is not the time to ask a question, but could we
No, you're
push
all
that
right.
back to like October 1st or something? Because like we don't get our bank statements till like September 10th. I mean, it gives us like 5 days to finalize all that.
That is something I can put down as a consideration, but I think that would have to be a decision not made by me.
Yeah,
Okay,
just to
and then
clarify, just to
Oh,
jump in here, so that's a state requirement, that September one. That's something we cannot change. Brianna and I actually did try to talk to the Secretary of State just to kind of explain the 4-H situation and how many clubs would be delinquent on it, and they would not budge. So that is not something that unfortunately they are willing to work with us on.
right, but I mean, like that actual form to fill out what we did for the last year, does it have to be turned in September 15th? Because that gives us not like 5 day turnaround basically.
It's actually going to end up needing to be in before that, and we'll have more guidance on that because it has to be uploaded on September 1 for that deadline.
With the previous, because you're just
Oh,
wanting like income expenses, like not tax information, like
no.
the
This
all
is
that,
this is
right?
all
Just
of like
just the
the money going in and out of your guys's or the club's accounts throughout the
because
year.
if you have transactions in August, it would still be in that year. But I mean, you could have a transaction August 29th and have to have it uploaded September 1st, is what you're saying?
Yeah, Brianna, maybe explain what you ended up doing. So there is an option to file an extension, which Brianna did do. So I don't know if you want to talk about that, Brianna.
Well, can you explain what
So,
you're talking about the
yep.
debt? Because you said to the state. Like, are you talking Secretary of State, not like the state 4-H
No,
office?
state office.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll clarify
So the
that.
state office requires that financial statement to be into them, the 4-H state office. But we found out that with Secretary of State, when you file your annual filing with them, they ask you to submit that financial statement to them. And that is due September 1st.
Okay, so
And
that's where the confusion is coming
Yeah,
in. We should probably clarify when we're talking about the state and the state 4-H
Okay,
yeah.
office.
sorry about that.
So, well, and so the idea after, again, we're still trying to work with the Secretary of State, Brianna and I, we will end up changing that deadline, the September 15th, because it will not work unless you end up going in and filing an extension.
yeah, so Secretary of State allows you to file an extension past that September 1st deadline. You'll get it around that July time when we're all, super busy. And you can file an extension with Secretary of State, and then it's not due till December 1st with Secretary of State, that annual filing.
Okay, but we still don't really know. We're waiting more guidance on what we're supposed to be doing with Secretary of State, or like what kind of entity we are.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Sorry, now I think I understand.
Andrea, I see a question from Tessa.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to answer that one because this one has come up quite a bit. If your tax year was set up incorrectly when initially filing and obtaining the EIN, what are the steps to correct it for the next year?
And I can help with that. So we have a letter that you can actually send in. Bailey helped me craft it. I believe it is in the tax folder. I need to double check on that because I was editing it with them here last week. And so it's just a letter that you would send in and make sure that you have the new dates aligned with the 4-H year. So September 1 through August 31st instead of, I think several were on various years. There were some that told me they were on the December 31st, so January 1 to December 31st. I had some tell us that they were on a May, had some tell us they were on a June, so they're kind of all over the place. And so we do need to get back into compliance to be on that for the 4-H annual filing year, if that makes sense.
And then I was told, because I'm trying to figure this out too, is then you have to file a full 990. You can't file a 990N in the transition year. Is that true?
Um,
That is something I have not heard.
yeah, that's
Is
not
that
according to Bailey. So apparently, Bailey has a different direction, and we're working to edit and make, I guess, directions for that because it's basically you file a half year, if that makes sense. But we're getting
right?
directions on how to do that because you
Yeah, because
can't
I
you can't do
think
it electronically, unfortunately. It
right, and
won't
I
it
think
won't let
that's
you.
where like you have to file like a partial year with a 990 or
Correct.
something, and then
Correct.
yeah, that's where we're running into problems.
I see a question from Melissa. Where do you go to look up what you entered as your year date, September 1st or January 1st?
It would still be on your application, actually, if you can find your application or the letter that you were received from the IRS. It would should be on there as well.
So to kind of lean into your question here, Tessa, moving on with the Google Drive, that's where Leanne's been putting a lot of this information. And I'm going to put the link to the Google Drive here in the chat, or actually this is the state youth. I'm going to show you guys how to get there. So if you want to walk through this with me, you're more than welcome to. I'll also put it up on my screen so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Just one moment.
And Tessa, just to confirm your question, once it's official from iBailey, I absolutely will. I want to make sure it has their purview, so for legality and risk and compliance.
So when you guys are getting to the 4-H Google Drive, this is the public facing one. You're going to go to the 4-H Youth Development website and you're going to scroll down to where it says 4-H Google Drive and Resources. And if you click on that, it's going to bring you to this page where you can visit the North Dakota 4-H Google Drive. So you would just click on that. And if I'm going too fast and anyone's following along and you want me to slow down, just say so, and I will be happy to do that. So from here, you've got a whole bunch of information. What we're going to be looking at specifically is like the taxes and the club management. So you're going to go to your 4-H clubs right here. And you're going to go to club management. And that will bring you to your bylaws, taxes. There's some handouts specific to those. But if you click on taxes, the thing that Leanne did that's super helpful is, yes, there's a lot of forms in there. However, if you go right here to this table of contents and click on that, that's going to give you an into all of those. So you've got your 4-H financial compliance, how to file club taxes, the annual financial statement right here. So I'm just going to click on that. For example, if you just click on it, it'll pop it up into the Google Drive, and that'll bring you right to where you need to be. And this is the annual financial statement if it loads right there. So that is just one of the things. I can't see past where it says this meeting is being transcribed. So yeah, here's your table of contents, and all of these are links directly to what you guys are seeing on here, the treasury book, the frequently asked documents, EIN filing instructions. Recently, there was a club leader authorization letter that Meta and Leanne worked on together. This is something that you can use for your bank to indicate an EIN change. And that's just a template, so you're able to fill it in as you need it. So as you can see, there's a lot of information. Going through it today would take far more than the hour that I have, which is why we're working on ways to better present this information in depth through training opportunities. So stay tuned for those, and I'm sure you'll be hearing about them in the near future. But in the meantime, if you want to search through some of these documents and forms, feel free.
Hey,
These are
Andrea,
yeah,
can you go back?
yes, ma'am, I
Again,
absolutely
Margot
can.
wants you to show you how to find that page.
All right, Margot, where do you want me to go back to? And I will hop on back to that. Let's see.
I don't even think I got the right Google
Okay.
Drive.
You know what?
Sorry.
We'll start right here.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it at all.
Okay.
So, okay, we're going to start on the
yeah.
4-H youth development page, right?
Okay, I'm there.
Okay.
All right.
And you're going to scroll down to where it says 4-H Google Drive and resources and click on that.
Okay, did that.
Got that? Okay. And then you're going to go to this little thing right here where it says visit the North Dakota 4-H Google Drive.
Okay.
And you're going to click on that one.
Okay.
And this just brings you to the public-facing Google Drive that's available to volunteers, club leaders, our agents, anybody who's enrolled in 4-H, the resources that they would need to like run their clubs and do taxes and all that super fun stuff. And yes, my computer is taking forever to load. It's been really slow this past week. I'm not sure if that's like a statewide issue or just here at the building. I'll try to refresh it real quick here. Okay. So from here,
my screen looks different. That's why.
Does it look like this? Give it a sec. There's two different layouts that you can have.
Oh, okay.
There's that grid view and then there's a list view. So
that's why I got confused.
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
The benefit of that grid view is it also kind of gives you a view of all of these things as PDFs. So if something looks familiar to you just based on the picture, it's like, oh, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
So then you're going to go to 4-H clubs and click on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then you're going to go to club management.
Okay. There we go.
And going into your taxes folder here, that's where all of your financial information is going to be, along with that table of contents that Leanne created. That's going to bring you to each of these individually and then also explain to you what that link has.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I see one more question from Danielle. She wanted to know if their club has some confusion on the fundraising amounts that we claim club level versus county level. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, so for instance, like if our club does a fundraiser, just our club, that makes sense. But when we're filling out, our annual forms, like if the county does a raffle or our fruit sales, do we just look at like, we got a check from the county and that's what we put on that form as our fundraiser? Or is the county claiming all of that as fundraiser money? Like, not sure who should be listing what.
That's a really good question, Danielle. So it all kind of think of it as every EIN is its own, for lack of better words, human, but it's its own business. And so wherever that money goes, like let's say you give $50 to a one club, you give 50 to another, and then you give 100 to another. Each one of those that gets that representative amount has to claim whatever they get if it's a different EIN. If it's the same EIN across all clubs, because you're using that umbrella perspective and you're using the 4-H Council, then only that one single EIN would be the one that's claiming what the total fundraiser amount was. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
And Danielle, are you talking about putting it on the financial summary or statement that you turn into the 4-H state office every year, or just when it comes to filing?
That
Okay.
one. Because I mean, we did the 990 and postcard, and we're just on
Yes.
50,000, so that was easy.
Yep.
We didn't have to have an amount.
Okay. And that answers your question. To me, I guess, Leanne, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. If they were to get a check from the county, would that still be reflected on that financial statement they turn into us and just classified, like written as a detail, like this was given to us by the county for this reason?
It's always good to detail all of that. In the event of an audit, you're going to need to provide all those details already. So it's just good financial booking to do exactly that.
Okay, I'm going to minimize this so we can move on here past the 4-H Google Drive. And Megan did also mention, we've got the Google Drive there, that I had a tool that I was going to show you guys here. This can be found, I think I have the link to this one too. I'll put it up in here. This was provided to me by my tax lady. My husband is a contractor, so we have to file self-employment taxes every year. So our tax lady gave us this spreadsheet where it has everything broken down by the month, and I can move into it too so you guys can see what I'm working with here. So this has tabs all along the bottom for each of your months: January, February, March, so on and so forth. And this is all, it's kind of, I aligned it with the financial statement so that it's reflecting what's required to be on your financial statement too. So you could help, this could be used to help you guys just keep track of everything. It's like a running ledger for your clubs. So you've got your meeting expenses, speaker fees, food and refreshment, project manuals. And what I really love about this is if you put in something here, it immediately goes to the front page. Oh, no, it doesn't. It's probably loading still. Anything that you guys put in these sections here, the food projects manuals, it all adds up to that front page to give you a running total for the year. Oh, nope, see, there it is. So you'll have like your income and expenses right there. You've got your bank name, starting balance, ending balance. You could turn this in with the financial statement or as the financial statement, because I know some of you work with QuickBooks and that's how you turn in your financial statements September 15th to us or upload them on 4-H Online, and that works too. So this I just created as a tool. If you want to use it, feel free. If you don't want to, that's completely fine. It was just, I thought it would be helpful. I did have one of the assistants in one of the county offices try this out, and she said for the 3 clubs she had, she was like, this is amazing. She just plugged everything in as she needed it. It gave her all of her totals through the year, and it was just kind of a nice place. So if you're going to use this, save a copy to your desktop, and then you can also send it to your club leaders or your volunteers to use as well. Just don't fill anything out in the main one. So yeah, save a copy if you want to use it. You guys feel free. It's there for you to use if you want to. So I'd like to wrap this up by answer. Oh, yes.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So since we're talking about Quicken and QuickBooks,
Yes.
so I have a laptop here and it is Quicken.
Okay.
And we're supposed to switch it over to QuickBooks.
Okay.
Do you guys know who I'm supposed to contact for that? I
It was
talked
set up in your
to,
office, wasn't it?
I'm not particularly sure where it came from, but I
Okay.
get the job of figuring it out. So, I've contacted the NDSU IT and they were supposed to put a ticket into AgCom
Okay.
to do that. And I also contacted, well, first I was supposed to contact a IT company here in town, and they said they have no idea what was going on here, so I should contact our IT. So I did that through NDSU. They had no idea, and so they were supposed to put a ticket into AgCom. So now here I'm kind of stuck, and I haven't heard back from AgCom,
Okay.
and we need to do that sometime, like
Okay.
in the very near future would be great.
Would you be okay if I troubleshoot with you after this, like call you up individually and you and I can kind of go through it and figure out the ins and outs and get some more details? Would that be all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Got a
Thank you.
note down here to give you a call. No problem. So some of the questions, and I'd like to remind everyone that I'm not a tax specialist, but I'm going to do my best here. And if I missed any questions in the return emails, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer those as well. So the first question, or one of the first questions I was asked, is if all clubs were to file under the 4-H Council and discontinue maintaining individual EINs, what information would the 4-H Council need to collect from each individual club on a monthly basis or in order to remain in good standing with the IRS? So the IRS requires accurate reporting at the council level, but does not dictate how councils collect club level information. Each 4-H council determines the reporting process that best meets its oversight and compliance responsibilities. So it's kind of like a find your comfort level and what works for your county approach. There's no right or wrong way to keep track of it. You don't have to be, unless that's something that your council decides you guys want to do, where you're like collecting monthly statements. It's how you guys want to go about this and what works best for your county. Does that make sense? The second question, why do we have to send out 1099s if our club members don't file taxes? Sending out 1099s is a federal requirement. So when certain payment thresholds are met, the IRS requires us to report those payments even when they're made to youth. Luckily, those thresholds are going to be increased for next year's taxes from 600 to 2,000. But right now, yes, it is a federal requirement. So see, question number 3 was, what does our club or council need to maintain a 501c3 status? Or why does our council have to, or club or council have to maintain that status? So your 501c status, that's going to allow donors and businesses to legally claim charitable tax deductions for contributions. It's required to lawfully conduct raffles and certain fundraising activities under state and federal law. Supports eligibility for grants, sponsorships, and charitable gifts that require proof of tax-exempt status. It provides credibility and transparency when working with banks, auditors, partners, and the public, and demonstrates accountability and compliance when using the 4-H name and emblem and handling those public funds. Question 4, what if clubs decide to file under the 4-H Council? Would they have to worry about their EIN and getting it back in good standing with the IRS? No. But the club would need to talk with their bank and change the EIN on the bank account to the 4-H Council's EIN. Oftentimes, the bank will want to see this authority in the 4-H Club Council minutes as voted proof. There is an example of the minutes and in the tax resources, and there is that letter that I was talking about, the one that Meta and Leanne put together for requesting that changeover with your bank with the EIN number. So those are just some of the questions I had. If anyone has any others, I wanted to leave enough time because this is such a huge topic and it's something that everybody is kind of like in the throes of right now. So I wanted to leave us a lot of space to kind of talk, hash things out, get questions answered if I'm able to answer those questions. So please feel free to ask anything. Except if I'll give you my cows, because no, I won't.
Let's see, Carrie had a comment. She reached out to the state's attorney and the director of finance for Cass County. If there were any improprieties, the council will be liable if clubs fell under our EIN.
Yes, they would.
And Brianna says y'all are still working on Lynette Bockel's question about passing funds from like state fair,
Yes.
to the youth and on.
Yep. So what Lynette
Thank you.
was saying was, has there been more information on pass-through funds such as the state fair and county ribbon premiums? State fair sends the county a check and the county writes out a check to the clubs from those funds plus county ribbon funds. Clubs write the checks to the youth, so funds pass from state fair, then county, then club, then youth. And this is where Brianna said we're still working with the tax professionals to get an exact answer on this one.
But I will also, again, point you guys to that awesome 990 decision tree. And that kind of helps you identify your own premium dollars and how you're managing those. It kind of lets you understand if you 100% need to write a 1099 out, whether you're considered a principal or an agent. And so that's something that Eide Bailly has been working with me to develop to make sure, because there's some of you out there that absolutely will never have to write a 1099 if you're operating your premium sales in a specific way. So for example, Brianna, I don't know if you want to touch on how you do it, but if you keep, let's say, 5% of any premium sales or any dollars that come in, then unfortunately you do turn down to a principal is what you're titled. And that decision tree kind of walks you through that. I've kind of piloted it in a couple different counties now. So if it doesn't make any sense or there's still pieces in there that aren't clear, definitely get back to us. But I am pretty sure, Lynette, to your actual question, because the premium dollars from the state fair, so again, not your county, but the state fair, are just direct pass-through funds. You're not keeping any percentage of it. If you're keeping a percentage of it, that's a different story. But if you are directly sending that check back out to those youth, you do not have to take anything from it because that is the state fair's responsibility in terms of the 1099. Which I don't think any of those checks are larger than 600.
Okay, so just to maybe clarify again, it looks like you've been updating the financial or the 4-H policy stuff that's in the Google Drive that's related to the big long file that goes through everything that we're supposed to do. The stuff for the state, the Secretary of State then is not totally up to date in here.
That is
We should be
correct.
okay,
Yeah,
so we need to
because
wait
there's
more on that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's one more step that was not clearly, in my opinion, given direction when Eide Bailly gave us the webinars 3 different times. And so there's one more step that I've been working with Brianna to actually have somebody do it so we can get screenshots and have really clear direction on what to do. So Brianna already has it done, and we're going to kind of make a nice help document on how to make sure we walk through that last step with the Secretary of State. Because in talking to them, I hypothetically asked if we did not do this, what would happen? And they were like, well, we wouldn't do anything, but the Attorney General would. So it looks like we have one more step across the state to do, unfortunately.
Okay, because yeah, we haven't done anything with that step, and so I think
Yeah.
until we get clarification, I'm not probably going to.
Nope, that's okay. And when you did your data tools, those Excel sheets that were due, I went through and searched every single county in the Secretary of State, because obviously if you're in there, you have done something. And there's a lot of them in there as trade names or some as nonprofit corporations. And so if you are in there, I screenshotted it and put it in your data tool so you could see what you are, when you're due, and things like that.
And when talking about those 1099, that decision tree Leanne was talking about, that is also right here. It's number 7 in that table of contents. And that was updated 1/27 of 2026.
And are you going to want all this stuff in 4-H online versus emailing it? Or I'm guessing another question too is, Andrea, are you kind of our point person for more questions, or who should we be directing more questions as we move along?
We're using both Andrea, me,
Yeah.
and now poor Brianna as the ELT intern kind of got assigned this project. And so she's going to kind of go through and help make things better. And so we're excited to have Brianna because she has these really neat portfolios already put together and she can actually put them in your guys' hands as really visual pieces as well.
She also has way more experience with this, having filed all of the taxes herself and everything, and being a county where all of the clubs decided to go under their own EINs instead of going under the council. She's an extremely valuable resource in all of this. So between her and I, yes, we're kind of your points of contact on this. And as far as what you're uploading in 4-H Online, it depends. I mean, yes, the financial statement should go into 4-H Online. You guys should be uploading all of that information in 4-H Online as you get it. I think there's a place to upload your 990 filing for the year in there. There's your place to do the financial statement in there. I had to look at this the other day because someone asked me the same question. I was like, I have not been in 4-H Online in quite a while to remember what that looks like. And another thing that Brianna, just to speak to this again, I don't have access once you guys sign into First Stop or those websites that you have usernames and passwords for to file your taxes. I don't have access to that, so I don't know what it looks like on the other end of it, but Brianna does. She has the ability to go in and work alongside you if you have any questions on that. So can everyone still see my screen with the clubs and everything?
Yes.
Okay, so if you were to go to, say, Dickey County, we're just going to go Dakota Workers, and I'm going to scroll down to all of the documents that you can. So you've got your financial summary that you can upload, your budget, your bylaws. When I started collecting all of the charter application certificates and packets, I uploaded those as I got them. Your IRS filing you can upload in there. Your EIN assignment letter you can upload in there. This is a great place to store everything electronically. I would highly recommend keeping paper copies in your office if that's what I do. I've uploaded all of your charters into 4-H Online, but I also have a physical copy here in my office because I don't always trust computers. They crash. So just to be on the safe side, I keep copies of things so that I've got them here in case someone loses a charter. I can be like, I have that. I can send it over to you. And then there was a question, what is your recommendation for strongly storing or for securely storing the W-9 1099 info in our computers? I might have to check into that and see what the requirements are.
They just have to be under protection, and because you have to
Okay.
log into your computer with a password, that counts.
Perfect.
So, however is easiest to keep those in a space that you're familiar with, that's fine. But because it's already under lock and key, that's perfect for electronic filing. If you're doing it paper-wise and you've got the papers that you're printing out, make sure those are in a something with a lock. So whether it's a filing cabinet, a drawer with a lock, they do have to be under lock and key.
Lindsay, your question, what is the data tool that you mentioned? Which one specifically are you talking about for each club?
Leanne mentioned something about data tool, data pool, or something that I was just curious of where that was of the screenshot.
Oh yeah,
Maybe I
we
don't
can get you.
understand anything.
No, we can get you. I can re-forward that to you for your particular county. Every 4-H contact got one in their county, and has been working through those to upload all of their financial data. Does that sound familiar?
Yes, that sounds familiar now.
That's
It's
yep,
got
that's what it is.
It's got the club name listed, the bank, the amount that's in there, and that's where Leanne put the information on from the Secretary of State, like screenshots on all of those. And then Brian, you had the question, what is the length of time required to keep financial documents? Brianna, thank you for answering that. North Dakota record retention is 10 years for 4-H finances.
And I did want to put the record retention in our policy, but they made me remove it, just FYI, because it was in there as an appendice. But Century Code wants it in one location in case there's changes. They don't want to make multiple changes. So it is in the SharePoint under record retention, and there's a special space on the right-hand side that says 4-H record retention. And so that's where that is housed, is record retention is all in SharePoint now. Just FYI.
And Andrea and I learned last year, if for some reason the IRS were to audit, they technically only go back 3 years. Because
Mhm.
filing that 990N, you have 3 years to file to keep your 501c3 status. So
But
you
if
should
they
have
want to
plenty
go
of
back
records.
further, they can.
Yep,
Yeah.
but North Dakota's is 10 years. You got questions on that, Jim Gray's a good one to ask on record retention.
Does anyone else have any questions? Now is a great time to answer them or ask.
I don't know if this link will work because I know with SharePoint you have to sign in, but that's the page to the record retention for SharePoint. And then you'll see on the right-hand side, it says supplemental information for 4-H records.
Yeah, also, I mean, I see several volunteer leaders on here, which is awesome. So they won't be able to sign into that. So get with your extension agent and they can help you with that. So just if you're a volunteer, you can't get on, that's why, because you have to be NDSU.
I have a really quick question.
Yes.
Brianna, if I get a hold of you, can you help me and make sure that I have everything good to go before I leave?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any more questions? These are awesome that y'all are asking all these to us. So thank you, Andrea, for putting
Yes.
this together. This was very much needed. So I'm excited that
Mhm.
we had this opportunity to do this today.
And
I'm
don't
excited.
hesitate to ask those questions. We have, what is Carla doing today? What was the name of the? I know we're missing several
Oh.
people who are in the same place that Carla's at right now. And they are really looking forward to getting the recording of this with all of the information. So if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We'll do our best to answer them, and they'll probably appreciate it too, since they're not able to be here.
I have another
And-
question.
Sure.
Is it required that your 4-H club have a checking account? Because I have 2 clubs that do not have checking accounts, and pretty much the way they run it is like if they have a project, parents bring in and then they pay it out with cash, and so they don't have to deal with that. Is
And
that
that's perfectly fine.
okay?
Yes.
Hey, I have a question that I would like clarified.
Yes, ma'am.
On page 10 of the North Dakota 4-H policy book, can you turn the volume down? It says, under the reminder and notes, it says, if the club or council collects and pays out premium cell funds, even as a pass-through, the individual payments are 600 or more, they must issue a 1099 NEC to the recipient. Okay,
That
but then on our decision tree,
Yep, that
it
will need to be
says
changed,
something
Marilyn.
different.
Yep, because we just got that established, like the end of January. And I promise you guys, I'm not trying to do tax evasion, but I am trying to find ways to help you guys. And so we worked significantly through a lot of laws and legal stuff to get that made.
Okay, so we just need to follow the decision tree.
Correct.
Okay.
And thank you for noting that because page 10 will get updated.
Lynette, I don't believe they have to have a checking account. The club charter gives you the ability to use the 4-H emblem and name when you're operating as a club. I do not think it is a requirement, though, to have a checking account in order to maintain a club charter.
Correct. The only reason you would need a checking account is if you are doing any fundraising at all. If you are raising money in the name of 4-H, then that you have to have an EIN and follow the tax compliance laws at the federal and state level. I'm glad you asked that though, because sometimes that is pretty confusing.
There's a lot of gray areas we are finding out and trying to navigate those the best that we can to provide you guys with the information. Is there a county in North Dakota that has gone through this and has everything run under the council's EIN? There are several. If any of those counties are on the line right now, please speak up. I can't remember which ones off the top of my head, but we have them all over the place. There are a lot of
We do.
counties that are, yep.
We do.
Okay, thank you,
Harris is
Sandra.
one. We just decided that would be the council decided that would be the easiest considering that 2 of our clubs don't have checking accounts, and then the other 2 that do, they have a checking account, but it's under the EIN number of the umbrella of the council, and it's just easier that way. So what I do is I just give them, they just give me their stuff, and then I just put it with the council stuff. So
Thanks for sharing, Sandy. And not to throw Brian on the spotlight, but I know Brian has a really slick setup too, where they do use QuickBooks, and they have, I don't know if you still have a CPA on your 4-H council, but he has a lot of support down there too, so he can easily be a mentor in some of these things.
My recommendation is make sure you don't fall behind on reporting.
That's a
That's an
valid suggestion.
excellent suggestion, Brian.
We just got ourselves out of the hole and now we're done. So we're good to go.
And my personal hope is, I know this is a lot of growing pains right now, because this is a lot to move through to try to get everybody on the same page. And hopefully once we've got it down, it won't be a headache anymore. And it'll just be kind of like something that you do every year, like your taxes. And it won't be too difficult. And we'll have really great resources in place for when leadership, if leadership does switch over, and people who are able to mentor the others that are coming on board on how to do this.
I have a question.
Yes.
It said the record retention is 10 years. So are we banking on our clubs to keep those records for 10 years, or are you keeping them in your county offices? Because we switch leaders and we switch treasurers, and I know that stuff is lost in a lot of clubs. So does
Yeah.
anyone keep their club's financials in their own county offices?
What I do in Dickey is when they give us that financial report and we've only got 2 years of it, it goes in that profile I have of all the clubs, and I will hang on to it for 10 years.
Okay. But as far as like actual receipts or bank statements, you're not concerned about that?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Does anybody have the link for Dustin for the decision maker? Maybe that was what Leanne was talking about, the tree, maybe? Dustin, is that what you were talking about, the decision making tree?
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can easily put it in the chat here. It's in the tax folder. And I did put it in the table of contents because, like Andrea said, it's sometimes nice. I get so confused if I just drop into a folder and there's just a whole bunch of things confusing me. So it's nice to have a table of contents to just have some description of things. So I will put that in the chat.
And I was very much one of the people who would just look through there being like, what is where is what? And then Leanne explained to me better what the table of contents was. And I was like, that is brilliant. I will use this.
And I did put the actual IRS document in there, like legit from the IRS, and that has all the details if you really wanted to have fun reading in your spare time. It has every single detail for all the different types of 990s.
Well, I'm not really seeing any more questions, but if you have other questions, you can certainly stay on and ask Andrea or Brianna probably, and that would be great. I just want to point out, I'm really excited to see a lot of club leaders and volunteers on today. We sent it out through 4-H Online, so I'm really glad that y'all joined us, and I will get this recording out to y'all and the counties, and you can share it with your leaders if you want to, and then it'll also go on our YouTube channel too as well. And then another commercial for March, Margot is going to be doing probably 2 webinar Wednesdays on engineering design and some other STEM related projects there. So look forward to that in March. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And like I said, if y'all have questions, feel free to stay on and ask them. Y'all have a good
I'll
rest of
hang
your
out for a while.
Wednesday.